Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Garden Coach. I'm Jennifer Brennan. I'm the Horticulture Information Specialist here at Chalet. And as of next month, I will be at Chalet for 30 years. Whew, it's a good thing I do hair color, huh? And I'm sorry you can't see my hair color so well. My ring light adapter is missing today. So we're doing overhead lights. But I'm working from the PowerPoint. So you're going to see lots and lots of, of photos. And the way I do this, let me see, we've got 12 people signed on. Welcome, welcome. And the way I do this is I'm going to go over the outline, the notes, and this came with your email with the link to sign on, this morning. And then so you can print that up if you want. And then that all the items that I talk about each week in Garden Coach are featured in on a bookshelf behind the diagnostic desk at the plant clinic area inside the store. So you can go and see the majority of the products. Now, I don't have the 30-pound bags of pre-emergent lawn food and things like that, but they're within pointing distance of where that is. So and then if you come in the store and you don't have your outline with you, there's a document holder right on that desk where you can get a copy and say, oh yeah, here it is. This is what I'm looking for. So we're making this work really well. And thank you so much for everyone that has been so loyal to Garden Coach. There was a request that I announce what topics I'll be covering in like the next week as we're going on. So as I sign off, and let me see, it's 1 minute away from 10. When I sign up, I'll be talking about what I'll be focusing on next week. Now, the other things that I always like to focus on are things that I have seen, things, don't you like that, things in quotes, diseases, insects that I have seen at the microscope. When people bring in, things to be diagnosed, I like to let you know what to look forward to. I guess that's the way to look at it. What to look forward to or what to be warned about. And next week's going to be really fun because I'm seeing some interesting weeds emerging, that the ones we all hate, like the yellow flowered, it used to be called ranunculus ficaria. Now it's called Ficaria vernus. They changed the name. And I'm going to talk about how to control that next week. Next week, the timing will be better to take care of it because we'll have warmer temperatures. And so then the appropriate herbicides to use will be effective at that time. So, so we're going to be talking about that. And then also the best plants to put in your garden as we're transitioning from our winter season into our spring season. So with that, it is now 10:01. So this is the official Welcome to Chalet Garden Coach, and Jennifer Brennan is my name. I'm the Horticulture Information Specialist. I actually have degrees. I have 2 degrees, one in horticulture, the science on how to grow plants, and then the other on botany, the science of plants. And so if it was yesterday, I had all my green on, and it would be more appropriate, for someone that has a dual degree in horticulture and botany to wear all green. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share my screen. And here we go, share the screen. Here it is. Perfect. And I have to get it going from, there's just too many pictures of me here. Let me get out of this one. Okay, here we go. All right, so, oh no, I pulled up the wrong one. Hold on just a minute. We're gonna get out of this. Boy, the problem is with Zoom. Hold on just a second. I have a better one. Doggone it. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. Okay, hold on. We're going to go back to this file. All right. Aha. I didn't read my own codes. Come on, PowerPoint. Why aren't you opening? Okay, it's working. It's working. It's working. All right, this is much better. Okay, hold on, hold on. Great. Right. Here it is. All right. I apologize, everybody. No, don't do that one. Okay, it's working. I see that little spinning thing. Let me make sure that's the right one. I apologize, everybody. Good. Okay, this is it. No, it's not. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Hold on. All right, let me try this. Aha, here we go. All right, I think, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Here we go. Oh, yay! Happy hands, happy hands. Okay. Um, Here we go. We're starting, and it looks like I have 33 people. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the Chalet Garden Coach. And I see that I have 5 questions already. And what I'm going to do is save the questions for the end. Although, let me just check real quick to make sure I don't have any emergency questions. Okay, I don't have emergency questions. So everybody with questions and answers, I'm going to pull these up later and answer them all at the end of the presentation. And so let's go ahead and get started. Thanks. I apologize again for the technical difficulties. I need a sip of coffee, if you don't mind. Here we go. Okay, and if anybody needs proof that a Yeti is wonderful, I'm your testimonial here. Mm. Hot coffee. I love it, love it, love it. Stays hot till 6 p.m. Okay. Now, cool season plants. Now is the time to plant them. And we've had hellebores come in and they're on the front patio. We've had ivory prints. We've had the Molly series. We had the Molly whites. And then we also have the Molly red. Beautiful, beautiful new series of hellebores where the foliage is variegated with the same colors as the flower. So even when they're not in flower, you have this wonderful looking, textured, variegated plant in the garden. Now, the great thing about hellebores, they're also called Lenten roses or winter roses. The great thing about hellebores is they're evergreen. Evergreen. If any of you know Tony Fulmer, he was always so funny. Whenever he would interview a new employee for the nursery, and this was back when he was the nursery manager, one of his questions was name 5 evergreen perennials. And the number 1 is hellebores. And what's great about hellebores is that nobody eats them. The deer won't eat them. The rabbits won't eat them. So with all the damage that we have from rabbits, especially after the heavy snow that we just have endured, and the rabbits rode the snow up, chewing the bark off of sweet bark trees, and then rode the snow down as it melted, chewing the other side of the plant. And so we're seeing thousands of dollars of damage. So to find a plant that rabbits and deer won't eat. Oh my God, it's a blessing. It's a heaven sent blessing. So, and you know, they're just gorgeous. And this is one of the Molly Whites that's right next, that's in the photo to the right. Now, pansies down on the photo and in the lower left-hand corner, pansies are coming in today or tomorrow. I couldn't get a definite answer from our inventory manager because he hadn't heard from the truckers yet. So we're going to have beautiful pansies that you'll be able to plant this weekend in your garden. And boy, there's nothing says spring to me more than a pansy, and they just have those wonderful smiling faces, and they're a great plant because they're toughies. As cute and diminutive as they look, and tender as they look, they're really tough. They can stand when temperatures even go down into the upper 20s. So don't be afraid to put the pansies out. Now, primroses, we had this double flowering primrose earlier. The first shipment that came in last week, I think we had a couple of trays of these. I mean, they flew out the door. They flew out the door because people were just so enamored with them. But we're going to have more of the single flowered ones and the double flower ones, like these. So if you really have spring fever and that itch to get things planted, these are the things to look at. I just heard, I probably ain't going to get in trouble for telling you all this, but I heard that we're going to be open the 1st of April, for that Easter weekend, and the nursery is going to be open. And everyone, oh my gosh, you just can't believe the numbers of people that just can't wait to get out into the nursery. It's been closed because we're unpacking all of our large containers, and so it's kind of a war zone out there. So we're not letting customers go out there unless you're accompanied by a staff member. But it will be looking great next week, and then we'll be open the week after. So we're getting all those things you need to keep you happy. Now, come on, Jenny. Here we go. Now, this is also the time to get your summer flowering bulbs. Oh, look, I put summer flowering blank. The summer flowering bulbs to pot up now to give them a head start. And so dahlias are probably if someone would ask, what is a summer flowering bulb that you have to start, from a tuber or a bulb? Dahlias. And we've got phenomenal ones inside the garden center. And but they're not hardy. They're not hardy to the cold temperatures outside. So you can either wait till May 15th and plant them in the garden and let them grow from there. Or if you want to give them a good 6-week head start, plant them in containers or pots. And I like to use an 8-inch size pot for a dahlia tuber. And you want to plant them at the depth. It's usually 4 times the diameter of the bulb, and then water them, put them in a bright room, in a warm room, and they start rooting in, and then they send the shoot up. And then when you start seeing a shoot emerge out of the potting mix, make sure you give them bright sunny light. It's the strongest, brightest sun as you can, and then grow them on until the danger of frost is passed, and then you plant them outside. More that are wonderful. I'm just going to go across the top and then across the bottom. Elephant ears. Oh my gosh, we've got these huge, big tubers, and that's the giganteum form. And then we have, I think, 5 different variegated forms. We've got white and green ones. We have beautiful black mahogany black colored leaves, and now's the time to get those started. It's so much fun. And then when you do plant them, you want to make sure that the bottom side where the roots are attached to the bulb is down, and then the shoot is up. You want to make sure that those are stationed, positioned in the right way. The begonias, that's the next one going across the upper level here. These are the tuberous begonias, and the tuberous begonias have much larger flowers. And be careful with that tuber though, because it's sort of hollowed. So I a lot of times will plant mine sideways. But when you water it, don't water down right in the center of the plant. Water all around the edge, so you're not letting water stand, because you don't want water to stand on top of that tuber, because it could rot. But these are so gorgeous. I mean, just so absolutely gorgeous, that the big flowers, and beautiful in shady gardens, just to really brighten it up. Again, start those in size. Caladiums, ooh, and we've got all different colors, and beautiful. They like warmth. And so these actually benefit if you have a heat mat to set them on, and they'll grow much more quickly. And then hold off on putting those outside until I would say Memorial Day. You can wait for the danger of frost, but if you have them growing and you've started them on a warm heating mat, and you move them out, and it's going to get chilly, especially at night, that makes them stall. So those, wait till after Memorial Day to set those out. Okay, the beautiful pom-pom type dahlia, at the bottom level here. And then we also have some perennial tubers. These are the Siberian iris. We also have the lily of the valley, and you can start those in pots inside and then set them out, in the garden. Lilies, oh my God, I love lilies. This is a combination of the Asiatic lilies, but we also have Oriental lilies as well. The Asiatics bloom earlier. They bloom in June and June through July. And then the Orientals bloom at the end of July all the way through August. So you have to have some of both in your garden, and then start them in the pots inside. Same rules apply, bright, sunny location. And then cannas. Oh my gosh, cannas are kind of like, I should say cannas and dahlias are the classic lift them at the end of the growing season bulbs and tubers. And cannas are just, I just think cannas are they're the closest thing to having a tropical in your garden. And they're wonderful. They're the standard ones that will get 4 feet tall. And then there's some really nice, this is a picture of the little short ones. And the new shorter varieties only get to be about 3 feet tall. And so they're perfect for containers. So you can start these in containers, leave them in containers, or put them out in the garden, after the danger of frost has passed. So what a neat way to get over and get your green thumbs, kind of massaged, come in and start these bulbs, or these summer flowering bulbs early. I got to fix that PowerPoint. Okay, now March is still the month for pruning. So it's not too late to get out to do any of the pruning that you need to do. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands pruning is not a mandatory thing. You don't have to go out and just prune everything because this is the month for pruning. But this is the best time if there is pruning that is needed. And so those, and I'm talking about the woody plants, trees and shrubs, the woody trees and shrubs, deciduous woody trees and shrubs right now. Not so much the evergreens, although if you need to resize something like a boxwood or a Japanese yew, March is the time to do it, because the wounds, the cuts, we also call them wounds, have a chance to heal. And then the new growth is going to start in April, mid to late April. So you're not looking at a plant with a haircut all winter long. So this is a time you want to focus. The things you want to focus on are any damaged branches or broken branches, any damaged by rabbits, or deer. Most of the damage has been on by rabbits, this winter. And then also any disease. If you have any disease on the shrubs, you need to get rid of. And okay, I mentioned that you want to do deciduous plants rather than the evergreens right now. And always, always, always use bypass pruning shears. You don't ever want to use the anvil on living tissue because it will crush one side of the stem next to the anvil. So you want the bypass pruning shears that go back and forth past each other. I think this is a picture of the bypass. This is an anvil over on the far right, and you can see the blade just comes right down on a platform, and where the stem is next to the platform, it gets crushed. So you don't want to do that. Anvils are good for dead tissue. If you have to clean out a lot of dead tissue, you can get through a lot. But for living tissue, you want the bypass pruning shears. Okay, I wanted to show you, this really shows the bypass blade, and then the difference between a say that fast 3 times, bypass blade, and then the anvil. You can really see on the anvil lopper how the blade is the black with the silver line on it, and you can see that the anvil, and that's a really mean anvil because it has teeth on it. So it helps, you can see why it would really crush living tissue. But so I wanted to make sure you understood that. And then if you're going to do any rejuvenation pruning, and when you can tell I have a degree in agriculture, because you want to manage your crop. And when you're dealing with flowering shrubs, and that includes roses. Roses are flowering shrubs. So when you're dealing with flowering shrubs, they bloom better on new wood. So every 3 years, you want to take out 1/3 of the largest and thickest branches. And this diagram really shows you that. And you can see there's 4 of them. So you would just cut those down all the way as close to the ground as you can get. And then that will encourage, you change the ratio of the root to the top. So you have a higher root percentage than top. So then that means the root will help push out new young wood, and that's new wood. And then it will bloom more heavily and for longer periods. So you want to follow that rule of 3. Take it down 1/3 in height and prune out 1/3 of the oldest branches. And I wanted to emphasize that the when you want to always think about, when does that plant bloom? So the plants that bloom on old wood are things like magnolia. Isn't this a gorgeous magnolia? And the photo up on the top right. And so lilacs, quince, forsythia, redbuds, and so these flower in early spring. So you don't want to prune those until after they finish blooming, unless it's a wayward branch crossing out in front of the sidewalk. You can prune that. There's no hard rules about whether you can prune or not. Just understand that any of the plants that flower on old wood formed their flower buds last summer. It was in July and August. So any things that you prune at the tips, you're going to get rid of flower buds. So as long as you're aware of that and you do that knowingly, then that's great. Now, anything that's on new wood, that blooms on new wood, you can prune right now. And those are things, classic new wood are roses, and also potentias, buddleias, and rose of Sharon. They bloom in the summer. Hydrangeas too, except for macrophyllus. Okay, but that's another whole garden coach. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Now, spring cleanup. And I don't have a lot of slides on this. I just love this one because this is so symbolic to me, that when the snow melts and you're pulling away all the debris out in the garden, you see the snowdrops that have come up and just waiting to look great, out in the garden. So the reason you want to do spring cleanup is you want to get rid of all the old plant material that could be harboring insects and diseases. Now there are, animalists, I call them animalists, that people that honor, the life cycles of all the different insects, and they wait until May to do the spring cleanup because they're waiting for all the overwintering eggs and the overwintering adult insects to wake up and fly away or hatch and get going. And then the how you just want to get gently raking things away. Don't do a lot of digging. You just want to clean it up. And now is the perfect time to do it. Is in the end of March, and we have warmer days. This weekend is going to be wonderful. It's supposed to be in the 60s on Sunday, so you can make a lot of progress when it's nice. Today's miserable, isn't it? Awful. Ooh, when I looked outside, I thought, ooh, so okay, so focus on that spring cleanup. Now, this is also when you need to plan to protect all of the plants that are susceptible to fungal problems. So I put a list of the ones that we see the most, just all year long. Apple scab, and look across the screen. And the apple scab, you see that on crab apples, edible apples, things like cotoneaster, anything in the Rosaceae family can get apple scab. Black spot, that's usually on roses. Rust, usually roses again. Botrytis bud blight, classic on peony, but we see that on other flowering plants as well. Botrytis will get into the flower buds just when they're opening, or just as when the buds, we call it cracking. When the buds crack, they just start to open. They can get, when it's rain, we have precipitation, they can get moisture inside, and with all those petals in there, it doesn't dry out. And the analogy I give is when you have a wet washcloth, and you don't wring it out and hang it to air dry. You just wad it up and shove it to the back of the counter or the back of the sink, and it mildews. That's the same way that Botrytis bud blight works on flower buds. And it gets in, it doesn't air out, and that's the botrytis. It gets really active. And what happens is it damages the petals. And then what creates the classic on roses, especially at the beginning of the season, the first ones that open, we call it dog facing. I don't know where that term came from, but it's because the petals got damaged at the end. So you have this kind of stunted flower. So, but there's a way to control it. Don't you love that? And then volutella stem blight, that's on pachysandra and boxwood. And then patch diseases, brown patch, summer patch, that's on the turf and lawns. So the way that you take care of these, there are products to the rescue, and key is to prevent it. So you want to apply while the plants are healthy to prevent the inoculation. You want to prevent, the spore from getting into the plant. And what happens is when we start, warming up, everything's thawing. And when the first couple times we hit ambient air temperatures approaching 60, and we've had that a couple times, that's when the spore wakes up, and then it's airborne and splashed with water, and it gets on the young tissues. The young emerging leaves don't have that waxy cuticle on them, and so then the spore gets into it, and it germinates, or it inoculates, it grows in, and then it takes 6 to 8 weeks for the fungus to develop. So usually when people bring samples in June with all the spots on the leaves, what do I do? It's too late. It's already been in the plant now. So that's why we say, if you had problems last year, kind of make a mental note and come in and get the prevention. I'm going to show you. So the systemic products are phenomenal. I love the systemics because you spray it on one surface of the leaf. It's pulled through all of the cells, the mesophyll cells, and then it stays in, depending on the product, for either 14 days or 30 days. And there's also fungicides and insecticides that you can pour at the root zone. We call that a drench, a DRENCH. I spell that because a customer last year thought I said a trench. And so she had her son dig a trench around the magnolia so she could apply, oh my gosh, the the chemical. Look, it makes me stutter. I'm sorry. Okay, so for the spray on, let's move ahead, Jennifer. For the spray on, you want to start spraying at bud break, just when the bud scales are starting to open, and then you do most of them like this. The spray on ones, you spray 3 applications, and then if it stays cold and rainy, then you want to do you can do up to 5 different applications. So, and that's if if it stays. Now, these are the products. Immunox is just been it's a systemic foliar spray. I can remember that when I learned about this, and it was in Horticulture magazine, and they were promoting it for roses, to take care of roses. And it is considered, myclobutanil is the active ingredient in it, and you can read that on the label right down here. And that's the active ingredient. That you have to know those terms. If I'm going to be a good coach, I want you to learn active ingredient. And every product you ever use for the rest of your life, whether it's a medicine you take for yourself, look for the active ingredient, label. And so you have to know what you're using. Infuse is from the Bonide company. It's another wonderful systemic, and they keep switching back and forth between propiconazole and myclobutanil. Every time I look at the label, it's different, but excellent product. I tend to always recommend the Immunox because the directions are so much easier to understand than on the Infuse. But they're both excellent products. Okay, now these are the 2 drenches. So you see soil drenches. That means you mix them and you pour them right where the trunk goes into the ground. And the reason these wonderful products work is based on research from Dr. Gary Watson out at the Morton Arboretum. He's been the root scientist for 30 years. And so he proved that 60% of an entire root system uptake is done at the root collar. And that's where the trunk or the stems go into the ground and attach to the root system. So my favorite, if you would ask me what is my all-time favorite product here at the garden center, it's the one over here on the left. It's the Bio Advanced All-in-One Rose and Flower Care. You can use that on roses. You can use that on flower beds, and you can use it on shrubs. And I wish they would put that on the front label. You have to peel open the back to see the shrub recommendation. But it has myclobutanil, phenomenal systemic fungicide. It has an insect control. It's a imidacloprid. And then it also has a fertilizer. And it's great for anything that flowers. It's a 9-14-9, so you have that higher phosphorus, so you really get great flowers. When you use it for roses, see the top cap on it? That actually is a measuring cup, and it measures up to 8 ounces. So for roses, it's 2 ounces in a quart, only 1 quart of water, and you pour that right where the trunk goes into the ground. It stays in the plant for 6 weeks. So you start April 15. 6 weeks later is June 1st, and 6 weeks after that is July 1st. And that takes care of everything you would need to do for that plant all summer long. I love this. I love this. And then for gardens, so things like irises to prevent the powdery mildew on them, and also the iris borer insect, and to keep them beautifully flowering. You would use the flower bed recommendation, and that's 2 ounces in 2 gallons of water. And then you're going to pour that 2 gallons over an area that's 12 square feet. So 3 by 4, neat. And again, last 6 weeks, April 15, June 1st, and July 15. I think I goofed the first time I said that. April 15, June 1st, and July 15. Okay, and then for shrubs like boxwood, you use 1 ounce per foot of plant height. Boxwoods are usually 3 feet tall. If you're dealing with lots of sirens. They're usually 3 feet tall when you're dealing with the I was going to call it wintergreen. It's oh my God, green gem. I'm going through all the old names, but the round ones, that was professional. But so it's 3 ounces in 3 quarts of water, or you can also just say, a gallon. And then we don't want you to crawl underneath the boxwood. Just walk over to the center and pour it right down through the center. And that does the trick. That really does the trick. Then the bonide version of it is the systemic fungicide and the systemic insecticide. There's no fertilizer in here. So if you want to do a treatment for fungal problems or insect problems later in the season, and you don't want to fertilize late, you use the Rose RX. Or you can also switch out, between the two if you like to use your own fertilizer on your roses. Okay, now earth-friendly natural fungicides are like the copper fungicide. This is the liquid one. And it also comes in a spray bottle. I'm starting to have a photo of that, but that's copper octanoate. And they also call that copper soap. And that was developed by the Neudorf people. And what's nice about that is it uses 80% less copper, so less heavy metal out in the environment. And then it's because it's liquid and it's a soap base, you get excellent coverage and it stays completely mixed. You don't have to agitate it while you're spraying it. The copper fungicide in the bonide, the taller bottle right in the middle, that's a powder, and it's what we call a wettable powder. And so when you mix it and when you're spraying it, you have to keep it agitated when you're spraying it so that the dispersal is more even. And then sulfur, which is also a plant fungicide, it can be used as a dust or also as a spray, but again, it also needs to be agitated, and again, earth-friendly natural. Oh my God, I misspelled sulfur on this. God, what is wrong with me? This is called late night PowerPoint doing. Okay, now these are the hose-in sprayers for lawn fungicide. So those are the patch diseases. I'm going to go forward again. This is what the patch disease looks like. I'm going to backspace again. So Immunox comes in that hose-in sprayer. It is dosed out at 7 ounces per gallon. So it's not really wise to use this hose-in sprayer on roses and flowers and things like that. So, so save that for the lawn, but it is extremely effective for the lawn diseases. And you want to target for spraying your lawn May 1st, May 15th, and then June 1st. And that will help prevent the patch diseases. Infuse is the same, and that's either propiconazole and then the other. Actually, I was looking at the label and reading the AI, the active ingredient, on the Immunox for lawn, and they switched. They're using propiconazole for the lawns on this one. So, you can kind of interchange. They're the same modus operandi. And then the BioAdvanced that's the myclobutanil. So for lawn control. And then the most common question, I'm kind of segueing right in. The most common question I've been getting is people have been coming in, how can I fix my lawn? How can I make my lawn better this year? So it's easy. I love telling people that. It's easy. So what do I use it and when? Okay. So you want to start out with the pre-emergent. And the pre-emergent with a fertilizer, the best one is called Scott's Triple Action for Seeding. The one from last year, it's also called Scott's Step 1 for Seeding. And you want to put that down April 15th. It has a phenomenal fertilizer. It's a 21% nitrogen, 22% phosphorus, and then I think it's 12% potassium. And what's great about that is these products are wonderful if you want to seed the lawn. If you have so many bare spaces, you come in, you want to seed first. You think, I've got to seed first. No. You want to put the pre-emergent down with the fertilizer, because all those dormant little grass plants in the lawn have the capacity of growing 3 inches in each direction. So get the fertilizer down first. Wait 2 weeks. It's also what's great about the Scott's Triple Action for Seeding is that it prevents any weed seeds, that are going to grow, and especially crabgrass. It will kill creeping bent grass because it burns out the chlorophyll. So you'll actually see when if the creeping bent is coming up in your yard, you'll see it and you'll notice it because it's all white. It does that to weeds too. Now, it's not on the label to get rid of weeds, but I've used it every year for the last 4 years. And it really, I use the term dings up It dings up the violets in my lawn and the daffodils in my lawn. Dandelions. It was a D. Dandelions in my lawn, and because you can see the leaves have white blotches on them, and it sets them back enough that then when I go out with my weed killer in May and just do one application, they're gone. I love this stuff. So now, and I said, put this down, wait 2 weeks, and then see what has filled in, because that fertilizer is going to really stimulate the dormant grass plants, and they'll grow. And you might be surprised how few bare spots you have, but that's when you decide how much grass seed you need based on how the lawn has filled in. And it's never a bad thing to put down a new infusion, if you will, of grass seed that is disease resistant. So I always encourage people that if you haven't put down grass seed in the last 3 years, it's time to do that. And then this is, you're going to overseed the bare areas, and then when it comes to the next time to put fertilizer down, because you used your pre-emergent, you're not going to have any weeds at all. Or if you have a few, you just can spot spray them with the bonide chickweed clover and oxalis killer. But then when you get to the end of May, Memorial Day, and you can apply it between Memorial Day and the first 2 weeks of June. And that's the next appropriate time to fertilize. When you're fertilizing lawns, we say you do it 4 times a year to have the best lawn in the neighborhood. And the first is April 15th. We used to always say Easter, but Easter fluctuates so often. Like this year, I think Easter is like the first weekend of April. I don't quote me on that, but so tax day, that's not really a holiday, but tax day, it always stays the same. And then Memorial Day is the second application, then Labor Day, and then Halloween. And so this would be the Memorial Day application, May 31st to June 15th. Okay, this is a close-up of the step 1 for seeding. And then they've come out with this new one that's called, the triple from Scott's, and the active ingredient, there's that AI again, is mesotrione. And mesotrione was invented as a liquid form. I think it's been 15, maybe 18 years ago. And our lawn care division does applications using the liquid. Well, it was 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago now, Syngenta, the company that invented or came up with mesotrione, they developed the granular form. And Scott's has the big pencil, so they got the contract to have it for the first 7 years. So they have an exclusive on it, and so it's in their pre-emergent weed controls. And I talked all about this. It prevents creeping bentgrass, prevents nimblewell. It kills nutsedge. And prevents any of the tubers from growing, down below. Oh, I love this stuff. And then it also prevents the germination of most weed seeds, but it does not affect grass seed. I love that. And then this has excellent nutrient levels. Okay, so then here's the Espoma lawn food. And it's a slow release, long-term fertilization, and we call it juice. It has a little extra nitrogen in it, so you get a quicker green up than you do with most organic-based fertilizers. I love this when I'm helping people transition from like the Scott's 4-step lawn care, and it's an excellent product. But you've heard me say this before. That's like giving a man a fish. And then when you give a man a fish, he has dinner for one meal. But when you teach him to fish, he can support himself. And that's the difference between using synthetic-based fertilizers only, like the Scott Step series, and then using organically based fertilizers like the Espoma all-natural lawn food. Because what happens is you're feeding the beneficial microbes, and then they will keep breaking down organic matter all season long. And so they feed themselves. It helps feed themselves. So, and then the nice thing about the Espoma lawn foods is they don't have any phosphorus. So it's a 1505. So it's excellent. I've used this on my lawn. Oh my gosh. Let me see. My son is 32 and I've been using it since he was 10. So, ooh, that's too long to admit. All right. Now going into houseplants. And now, if you haven't started feeding your houseplants, now fertilize your houseplants now. My favorite is the Dynagrow product, and the Grow liquid plant food is spectacular. It is the best fertilizer for plants that I have used in the 40 years I've been in horticulture. And it's a 795. And people say, well, that seems like really low percentages. Well, it is, but when you see how many micronutrients, and I wanted to put the label on here, these are all the different micros that are included, and they work synergistically and really boost how the plants use the 795 nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. What I love is when you have that higher phosphorus, you always keep the plant in a flowering mode. You don't have to worry about it, it not staying in the flowering mode. Now it's also time to repot your houseplants. If you have houseplants that are wilting in between waterings. Now, I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing, but I just want to show you. This was a YouTube that I filmed probably, I think it was about 8 years ago or 9 years ago. It was sort of lost on the Chalet YouTube channel. And let me just turn it on so you can see it. This is a hyperlink going to that. So if you can copy this. I think this was on the handout. Oh God, it's not. Yeah, it is. And so then
I'm going to help answer that age-old question, how do I repot a houseplant and when do I do it? Hello, I'm Jennifer Brennan, Chalet's Horticulture Information Specialist, and I'm going to show you 2 techniques for repotting houseplants. This is the best time of year to do it because the plants know when the days are getting longer and it's time to start growing.
And that's right now.
So the best way is to look at the roots to tell. So you need to check the root ball. So you pull it out of the pot, and here you can see the roots have grown straight to the bottom. And then they're at the sides. They've grown to the sides. That's an indicator that this plant would be happy.
Okay, how is this for teasing you about?
Grow more roots.
Let me get out of here now.
The 6-inch pot, you want the top of the root.
How is that for a tease, everybody? So I'll make you go watch it later. But I go through the 2 different techniques of, if you want the plant to get larger or if you want to keep it the same size. And so I'm going to make you watch that. How about that for a homework assignment? Well, I'll test you next week. Okay, now let's keep moving. Oh, I have to get down here again on this screen. Okay, here we go. All right, now you always, you want to watch that. You want to use the best, watering technique. And if you're not watering properly, or if you're letting the plant stand in water in a saucer, that's very improper. And that causes the yellowing of the older leaves. Or you also can get that if you're not watering enough. And so make sure that you water once a week. And, and the symptoms for not watering enough, are yellowing of the older leaves when they're trading all the nutrients from the old leaves and the water to give it to the young leaves. And or you'll see brown tips on the leaves. And this is another one. This is leaf damage from improper watering. And boy, the plants that get watered improperly the most often are fiddly figs, because people are scared by all the internet talk and about watering too much. Don't worry about it. These are tropical plants. They live in humid rainforests. They need to be watered once a week. You just don't ever want them to stand in a saucer of water. So get one of those down under plant stands. So it's underneath the pot. So, you never have it standing in water. And I've talked about this before. Ooh, I better get going. Let me see, it's 10:45. So you still want to get your seeds, come to Chalets, and I just want to let you know, Backspace, we've done reorders. We're selling through seeds like crazy, and we've done reorders, like 4 times. And I did hear that Renee's out of stock. Renee's not going to be having more, but botanical interest, we're getting more. We're getting a lot more with Seed Savers. So don't give up on our seeds. Keep coming in if you haven't gotten the seeds that you need. Okay, and then this is a plan to plant your early season planting crops. So you want peas. They're going to get tall on the north side of the garden. You want to get your beets in early. You're not going to be harvesting those till the end of the season, but they're a long season crop. You want your carrots and radishes, baby spinach, like a stir fry mix. mesclun, parsley, and cilantro. You want to get those in as early as the first week of April. And you can do that with seed directly in the garden, or you can start the seeds early and put them out. Now, I was going to go into all these tomatoes, but if anybody was counting on the tomatoes, I'm just going to flash through them quick, um, because okay, tomatoes are classified by fruit shape. So you have the currants, which are little tiny ones, cherry, which are usually less than an inch, grape, they're less than an inch also. Cocktails or saladettes are usually up to 2 inches. A plum tomato is what you use for paste, to making tomato paste. And then you have your standard slicers or the great big beefsteaks. Then they're also classified by color. And they range from creamy white through lime green, all the way, through the oranges and the reds and purples. This reminds me, when my son was a little guy, like 2 years old, he would go to his dad, and his dad would come home from work, and he would always ask him, "Let's go out and pick orange balls, Dad. Let's go pick orange balls out of the garden." So I love the orange tomatoes myself. Okay, so there's determinate. And determinate, they're compact. They reach a certain height, a predetermined height, and then they produce their crop. And in warmer climates, in like zone 6, zone 7, and zone 8, those are perfect for when you're going to do canning, or the professional canners like the Heinz company. They use determinants because they get to a certain high size and you can harvest the whole crop at once. Here, because our season's so short, you can use a determinate and it just keeps producing till the very end of the season. But I'm going to just cut through it. Indeterminates, they're the ones that keep growing and growing and growing. They can reach as high as 12 feet, but most often they're like 6 feet tall. And they just keep producing and producing and producing. And then the semi-determinants are things like celebrity. That's one of my favorite semi-determinate. And, it keeps growing, but they tend to get very bushy. And so, you want to make sure that you put them in a support cage, and don't prune them. Don't prune them. Don't prune the top, or they will stop. They'll stop producing. And okay, so that was a quick flash by of the tomatoes. I'm going to do a whole section for Garden Coach on tomatoes for those of you who are interested in it. But I just want to kind of let you know, so you can decide which types of tomatoes that you want to have in your garden. And now's the time to determine what you want, because of buying your seeds, and then also planting. And don't worry, we're not going to bring tomatoes in like Costco and Jewel grocery stores and things like that. We don't bring them in until they're safe to plant. Or if we do bring them in, we warn you that you plant early. You may be planting often, but you need to plan. You need to plan for what you want to what you want to have in your garden. I couldn't resist putting all these tulips on the screen, but what I'm going to do is let's do the questions and answers. I'm opening the column up. And okay, we have an anonymous. How will the upcoming cicadas impact shrub trees, etc.? Boy, I get that. You're asking that every week. Okay, the cicadas, we're not due to have the 17-year event in the Chicago area for another 4 years. We always have some cicadas. There are some of the cicadas that come out a little early. The 17-year impact, the closest one to here is down in Indiana. But people are going to hear the news and be panicked about it, but it's not for us yet. It's another 4 years away. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, and then here's Donna Dow. I mulched my hydrangeas with leaves last fall. Can I clear that mulch away from the plant now, or should I wait a little longer? Several inches of mulch. I'm hoping you chopped up the leaves. If you chop the leaves up, just leave it. You don't have to move it away from that. But if they're whole leaves, the problem with whole leaves, solid leaves, is that sometimes they can get compacted and they can dry up and then prevent water from getting down into it. So that's the most important thing. If you chop the leaves, if you didn't chop the leaves, rake them away, mow them with a lawnmower with a bagger, and put them right back. Save money on mulch. Although no, if you want Shelley to make more money, get rid of them and come and get leaf mulch from us. So, okay, here we go. And then the next one, this is Pam. I have not gotten weekly confirmations with your documents attached. Ooh, I've only got the initial registration confirmations, which was included with the link to join. Pam, I'll have someone get back to you on that, and I'll leave that one open. Okay, so now Cindy Lebecki, which can I apply? When can I apply crabgrass preventer to my lawn? Target April 15. Great question. April 15 is the crabgrass preventer. And then here's the best answer though. When you see the forsythias in bloom, you know that the soil is warm enough that the grass plants are actively growing. That's forsythia. Now, so between the time that the forsythia are in bloom and the lilacs go in bloom, you want to get your crabgrass preventer down before the lilacs go into bloom. And because that's the temperature when lilacs are in bloom, that's 55-degree soil. That's when the crabgrass germinates. So you have about a 6-week period between forsythia and lilacs to get your crabgrass preventer down. Don't you love that coincide? That's called coincide. And it's the coincide when you see and you observe what's going on out in nature, like the different times plants bloom. Okay, that was a great question. Thank you so much. Okay, and this is Christy Vick. Are all these plants perennial? Oh God. No, no, no. Pansies are not quite perennial. They could be, but not necessary. But the other ones I was talking about, and then all the flowering, the summer flowering bulbs, no, not at all. Not at all. Okay. You made me think, Christy. Thanks. Okay. Now, and this is from Janet. Oh, hi, Janet. Which of the lilacs are the most fragrant? Ooh, wow. The French hybrids, and we have a whole list of them. Janet, what I'll do, I'm going to jot your name down. I'm going to send you the lilac handout that we have. You know, it's one of our plant information. And let me just write your name down, and I'll send that. I have a new part-time worker, employee that I'm going to be working with today, and that'll be a neat way to train him. Yeah, I'll send that to you. Okay, here we go. Thanks. Great question. Okay, Tanya Haskett. Hi, one of my ewes is lime green color compared to my others. Does that mean it's dying? Well, yes, that means it's not doing well. If it's that limey green, what I would do first, come and get a product called Root and Grow. And Root and Grow is a wonderful 4-10-3 fertilizer. It's 10% phosphorus, which is the root nutrient, and it has a rooting hormone. And you're going to mix 2 ounces, 4 tablespoons in a gallon of water, and treat that plant. I would do it as soon as you can, and then do it again in 2 weeks and again in 2 weeks after that. And you might be able to catch it. So we had a lot of problems with the ewes when we had the last several wet springs. And then with the dry fall, check to make sure you don't have a downspout going right into the root zone of that ewe. Okay. But use Root and Grow. It's from a company called Bonide. Excellent product. Okay. This is Mike. Is rose and flower care good for peonies? Yes. Thank you for asking that. It is phenomenal for peonies. And, start that, I would actually even start that one April 1st for the peonies. Oh, thank you for asking that. I forgot to talk about how much I love that for peonies. Thank you so much. Okay, now there we go. Done. Here's another question from Donna again. Recommend a drench for fungus that can be used close to an organic garden. Ooh, no drenches. Oh, well, okay. If you're using a drench on a plant that's next to a vegetable garden, an organic garden, don't worry about it. It's going to be absorbed by the root system. If you pour it right where the root collar is, it's not going to go out into and under the organic garden. Don't worry about it at all. That's why I love the drenches, because it's right where the trunk goes in the ground, the root collar, and you don't have any drift from spraying. So that was a great question. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Here is, and watching, ooh, gosh, I'm right on schedule. Here's another from Janet. Does the Bio Advanced all-in-one drench help stimulate? Yes, it is. Oh God, yes. Does it help eliminate viburnum beetles? Yes, it does. But you know what, Janet, there's a better product for viburnum beetles. Use the 12-month drench from Bio Advanced, or there's also a 12-month tree and shrub drench from Bonide, and use that as soon as you can. You know, if you haven't used it, if you used it last year, it's going to last a whole 12 months. So reapply at the same time you used it last year. But if you have not treated viburnums, do it as soon as you can. And, you know, the soil is thawed right now, and the roots are going to start doing uptake soon. Get it treated and use the 12-month. The 12-month. You don't need to have the fungicide on the viburnums. So save that for the plants that need a fungicide and the fertilizer. Use Hollytone on the viburnums and the tree and shrub from Bio Advanced or Bonide. Great questions. You guys are brilliant. Okay, and then here we go, Janet. And then Mike again. Oh, this is Susan, not Mike. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hi, Susan. Is there anything special to do for primrose that are coming up from last year? Just watch the rainfall. I mean, we're getting great rainfall, and then I would fertilize them with the Bud and Bloom booster from Dr. Earth, because it'll last 6 weeks. It's my all-time favorite fertilizer, because we're all busy. You use it once every six weeks, once every 2 months. It lasts 60 days. So it's the coolest stuff. Okay, now let me finish reading. Also, my Lenten rose blooms are doing great, but not on long stems. I just clumped at the base of my big beautiful healthy plant. Oh, they're just starting out. They'll elongate. Don't worry. Can I encourage longer flowers for next year? Oh, they're just getting started. They'll elongate. You know, just give them a little time. They need a little more warmth. A little more warmth. Okay, live. Here we go. Great. And then Joan, is there a drench appropriate for preventative care of edible apple trees? There is. It's also from Bio Advanced, and it's the fruit tree drench, and it has a systemic insecticide in it, and I think it's just an insecticide. It is just an insecticide, but and the dosage is different. It's based on the radius of the canopy rather than the full diameter of the canopy. And then you also do it after bloom. You do the drench after bloom, and then it's also, boy, I need to brush up on the instructions myself. It's after bloom time, and then it's also within so many days of harvest. So I'll get those details for you. And Joan, email me at jenniferb@chaleznursery.com, so I have your contact information. Okay, great. And then here we go, done. And then this is Rhonda. Are the lawn products Scott's and Espoma safe for dogs? Yes, they are. They absolutely are. So, and the Scott's pre-emergent is not an herbicide. It's technically an herbicide, but it's a pre-emergent, and it doesn't stay on the surface. You put it down and you water it in immediately. That's different from the weed killer type products that you leave on the surface for 24 hours. And those are even safe for dogs, but you just leave them, you keep the dogs off of it until you water it in until it's dry. Excuse me. Great. And Espoma is completely safe. Okay, Trisha. Hi, Trisha. When is the first time we treat the lawn for grubs? GrubX. From the Scott's GrubX product can be applied in April. We used to always have to wait when it was imidacloprid based. Now it is chlorantraniliprole. Don't you love that? And you can apply it as early as the first week of April, and it lasts and prevents grubs all the way through the whole growing season. So yeah. So if you're going to do your lawn right, get your pre-emergent. The Scott's, is step 1 for seeding, or the Scott's triple care for seeding, and the GrubX, and do it the same weekend. Yeah, you're right on target that way. Great questions. God, I love these questions. Okay, we're over the 11 o'clock, but I'm doing better than previous chalet colleges. Okay, and this is okay, and then this is okay, Bernard. What are the pros and cons of planting violas versus pansies? Oh my God, there's no pros or cons. They're both great. Violas are little, they're smaller, pansies are bigger. I think you should have both. So I think it's nothing but pro for both of them. Great way to put that question and a fun way to answer it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, if there's a con, violas aren't big enough, but they're just so cute. Okay, this is great. Okay, here we go. All right. And then another one from Tanya. Is Super Thrive a good product? Oh my God, Super Thrive is an incredible product. Dr. Jack Thompson invented it. He's deceased. He passed away, but his daughter, I love his daughter. She's taken over the family operation and is still honoring him. Super Thrive is a vitamin. It's a vitamin. And his theory was that plants produced vitamins, and that's what we would derive, we would take them, but plants produce vitamins to help themselves. And he figured if they used it to help themselves, if he extracted them and used it on other plants, it would help them too. And it does. It is the coolest product. Yes, I won't go into all the science on it. Come and see me in the store if you want me to talk for about 10 minutes about how great it is. It is excellent. It's an excellent product. And you use that as a supplement to the fertilizer. Okay. Okay, then Marnie, can you start calla lilies now? Yes, you can. And doggone it, I didn't have enough room on my slide. We have calla lily bulbs, and yes, you can start them and keep them inside until it gets nice and warm and the danger of frost is past. And yes, yes, yes. Okay. Done. Okay, here's Janet again. When can we start putting preen down on our perennial beds? Okay, the preen will last for 3 months. 3 months if you go with the synthetic form of it. If you use the organic form, it's 1 month. But get it down as soon as you can. I'm doing it. I'm putting it all over my garden this weekend because as soon as you get it down, the more safe it's going to be, that it will prevent any weed seeds from germinating. Now, don't put it in areas where you're going to start seeds, but I'm better. I would rather advise that put it down and start your seeds inside and then put them back out. Once the seedlings have started, preen doesn't affect them at all. It's just the way preen works is that it's when a seed germinates, the feeder root comes out first. Preen stops the feeder root, kills it. No root, no shoot. Does the trick. And what I love about it is the seeds that germinate are eliminated. So they're not just waiting there to germinate, 5 years down the road. So I love using that. Okay, great question. Great question. Thanks everybody for sticking with me with all these questions. Do you use 3 treatments of Immunox on Monarda? Yes, you do. 3 treatments, and every 2 weeks on the Monarda. Absolutely. But the thing is, you have to wait for the Monarda to come up. I'll start spraying it the minute I see it emerging out of the ground. And it's a later one, it's later. So, it's not going to start emerging until the end of May. But yes, 3 treatments. Very excellent questions. Excellent questions. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do this. Okay, anonymous again. Is moss on the base of rose shrubs damaging? Not at all. Now, I want to make sure that you're talking about moss. It could be lichen. Lichen, if it's on the wood, if it's on the soil, it's true moss, and it's not a problem at all. And even if it's on the wood, it's a lichen, and that's a symbiotic relationship between an algae and a moss, and not a problem. Hummingbirds use that to make their nests, so not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. These are such great questions. Usha, hi Usha. I missed what to apply on a peony on April 1st. Okay, the ones you want to use is either is the Scott's Bio Advanced. It used to be Bayer. Bio Advanced all-in-one rose and flower treatment, and that has a systemic fungicide. It has a fertilizer and a systemic insecticide. So yeah, it's wonderful. And use the same recommendation that you would use on a rose. A rose is 2 ounces in 1 quart of water, and you just pour it right where the stems are coming out of the ground. And do that as soon as you see them coming up. Okay, excellent, excellent. These are such good questions. Okay, and Pam again, is there a fertilizer I should be putting down on the coneflower echinacea beds. You know what? Normally those types of perennials don't need to be fertilized, but I like to use a high phosphorus. And so my fertilizer of choice is the Dr. Earth Bud and Bloom. It only has a 3% nitrogen, so you're not pushing those perennials, but you're giving that wonderful phosphorus for root development and then the flower production. Okay, here we go. Excellent. Great questions, you guys. Usha, thanks a lot. Thank you, Usha. Okay, and okay, done. And then Tanya, again, you didn't answer about this product, Super Thrive Kelp Vitamin Solutions. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. The Super Thrive is a phenomenal product, and you only use, oh gosh, it's like 3 drops in a gallon of water, and you can actually add it to your fertilizer mix. And Dr. Thompson, Jack Thompson, is the man that invented it, and he's deceased, but he was just the neatest man. I used to talk to him all the time, and his product is just wonderful. It really enhances and helps the plant use its fertilizers more efficiently. I'm sorry you didn't hear my first answer on that one, but I can talk about Super Thrive all day, every day. So thanks for giving me a chance to mention it again. Okay, anonymous attendee, where would I get the handout? Is it online or at Chalet? You know what? It's at Chalet. I have it in a document holder right on the desk where my microscope is, back at the plant clinic desk. I'm so sorry you're not getting it, but if I knew your name, I'd send it to you, but that's okay. Come and pick it up, and I'll get to say hi to you and just say I'm anonymous. Okay. Okay. And there's Tanya again. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. And then Trisha again. When do we put down Sluggo? Great question. Okay, slugs don't get active until the soil temperatures get above 65. So they stay dormant. So my recommendation is to get the Sluggo down by May 15th. And then that's like breakfast in bed for them. When they wake up, they eat the Sluggo and it kills their appetite. You don't have any damage from that at all. Great questions, great questions. Okay, and anonymous again, I still have tall grasses in my garden. Is now a good time to cut them back? Yes, yes, yes. March is the perfect time to prune back any of the tall ornamental grasses, and use that neat trick. You know, you tie them with twine about between 6 and 4 inches from the ground. And then I tie it a foot above that. And then I either take my lopping shears, my head shears, or I actually have a chainsaw. And I just come in and then cut them off. And it keeps the bundle together when it's tied. And you just take that bundle out to the curb and let the yard waste people take it away. Great, great question. Great, great question. Okay. All right. And then, hi, Jennifer. That's from Shane. Okay, hold on. If you emailed an outline of today's presentation, I did not receive it. How can I get it? Okay, Shane, we have it at inside the store, or you can send an email to jenniferb@chaleynursery.com and I'll forward it to you. Okay, here we go. And then, I did another one. And then this is Karen. Okay. Okay, why is this not working? Answer live and then done. Okay, here we go. When should I cut back a hedge of forsythia? You wait till after it finishes flowering and then you can cut it back. Great question. And then here's anonymous again. I'm hoping these are different anonymous people and not just the same one. Do you need to fertilize daffodils that are emerging now? You know what? It's a really smart thing to do. Come in and get Dr. Earth bulb food. It has the highest phosphorus, so it helps the flowers, and it also helps it rebuild the bulbs when they're, and leave the foliage up for a solid 8 weeks in the sunlight so it can recharge the bulb. And then after that, you don't have to wait for them to turn yellow. You can just cut them right off. But 8 weeks, it has to have 8 weeks to recharge the bulb after they finish flowering. Great, 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 great questions. I love these questions. You guys are just wonderful. Okay, here's Karen again. Oh, this is Christy. Is now a good time to prune sedum? It is. You prune, if you left the flower heads up on the sedum, prune those back. Be cautious because you're going to see the new shoots coming right out of the ground. So don't prune too close to the ground because you could damage the new shoots coming up. But you'll see them all already pre-formed. Okay, and then when this is Karen again. Karen, when and what should you use for viburnums? Well, I would use the 12-month tree and shrub insecticide from either BioAdvanced or Bonide, and get that treated as soon as you can. And for shrubs, you take the height of the shrub, multiply times 3, and that's the number of ounces that you add to a gallon of water, and then pour that bucket or that watering can right where the trunk goes into the ground. Great questions. And that will protect them from viburnum borer and then also from the viburnum leaf beetles. And they're really, it's a bad insect. Excuse me. You can tell I've been talking nonstop. God, I sound like my mother. Hi, I'm same as Pam about the handouts. Okay, just send me an email and we'll figure out what's happening and get that fixed, okay? All right. You know what? Someone had this problem that was telling me they had registered for the Chalet garden coach the very first registration time. We've changed the way we did the sending. We've gone to a Calendly system. So what might be smart, re-register for, go to our website, go to the events page or the events column and go down and re-register for the next garden coach. And that should fix how the handouts are getting, or the handout notifications are being sent to you. Okay. Yeah. Someone was telling me about that. It was Trisha. You taught me about that. So everybody, if you're having trouble with the handouts, re-register for the upcoming Chalet garden coach, and that will fix it. Okay. And then yeah, anonymous again. Should I fertilize daffodils that are emerging? Yeah, it's a great time to fertilize them, or even while they're in flower. But you want to get that down into the soil, and so the rain can get it down into the root zone. It will help the flowers last longer, and that will also help the bulbs recharge. And that's what you want. You want the bulbs to recharge, for next year. So you fertilize them now, and then wait for the foliage to grow for 8 solid weeks in the sun, and then you can cut them off. Okay. And you know what? Y'all have been wonderful. And then, let me check. I have a couple of chats. Let me just check the chats. Okay. I'll check the chats. Okay. No, you know what? They were the same questions that I answered. Oh, let me try this. The chat. Here's the chat box. Are primroses perennial? Yes, they are. Yes, Mary Joyce Robbins. Primroses are perennial, but they can be a little sensitive to our wet clay soils. Okay, and then this is Mary Joyce Robbins again. If moss grows at the base of roses, oh, I already answered that. And no, moss is not damaging to roses. Okay, but make sure it's moss, and not just lichens. And neither of them is a problem. All right. Hey, everybody, we did another one. Thank you so much, and thanks for being so loyal to our virtual learning series, and come in and see us at the store. I mean, we've just got beautiful things, and it's going to be, wow, I looked outside. I was just going to say it's going to be spring before we know it, but boy, looking outside is kind of sad. Drink a lot of coffee today, like I do. Thank you all. I'm signing off now. Bye-bye.